What is going on, everybody? It is Nidge here from Nidge Players, and welcome to the second episode in this Best Team in FIFA 15 mini-series. You'll see here we're looking at the midfielders, and the first one that we're going to be having a look over is Gareth Bale on the right hand side of midfield. Now, obviously Bale I always associate being a left hand side midfielder, but on FIFA 14 his start card's actually centre forward, but this season for Real Madrid he has played most of his football on the right hand side, with Ronaldo being on the left. So if you'll have a look at some of his stats now and his informs, you'll see why I think that he will be changing to a right midfielder on next year's FIFA. As you can see, Bale has had another fantastic season after his move from Tottenham to Real Madrid. I was pretty unsure myself. I always thought he'd do well, but I thought it might take him a bit of time to settle in. But you'll see here, he's played 10 games less, but he still managed to score 22 goals in 44 appearances, get 16 assists, which is 3 more than he had the season before, and hold down a really good average rating, only 0.05 off what he had at Tottenham, which is really impressive when you consider how good he was at Tottenham. He's obviously won the Copa del Rey and the Champions League as well this season, and at one point, so I think I saw this was against Sevilla, he was clocked running at 25 miles per hour, which is absolutely insane, which is why I've given him in his stats +2 pace, the +2 passing for his assists, and a +1 overall to take him up to an 88 on the right hand side of midfield. You'll see he's had 4 informs as well over the course of the season, including the team of the season, which is a really strong card. But next player we're going to look at is Andreas Iniesta. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one, this is, because I don't think Iniesta's had that much of a fantastic season. I think he's not as good as he was the season before. Barcelona haven't had a good season. Spain had a dreadful World Cup, obviously, and he's an 89 on FIFA 14, and I think he might possibly drop to an 88. That's my prediction, but I still don't think there'll be any other midfielders taking him over the 88. So does that make sense? So I think he'll drop to an 88, but I don't think there'll be anyone going up to an 89 to overtake him. So I still think he'll be one of the strongest centre mids on the game. He's taken his pace down by 2, dribbling by 1, passing by 1, and 1 overall. He's still got an incredibly strong card at 88, but he's just not as good as it was. He's played 6 games more, but he's scored 1 less and got 6 less assists, so that just tells you all you need to know. Although somehow his average rating is a little bit higher. Don't quite know how that works, but yeah, he's had 3 informs. Like I say, I don't think he's had a great season. You could perhaps say Yaya Toure to surpass him next season if he could become an 89, but I don't think he will. He's currently an 86, and I can see him perhaps being an 87, 88 max. So I think Iniesta will probably still be the strongest centre mid on the game. If you're wondering, by the way, I do get all these stats off a website called whoscored.com, so if you go onto there, type in a player, then it comes up all their stats from the last season, and you can look at the history from the seasons before as well. The next centre mid is Bastian Schweinsteiger. Similar to Iniesta, really. He's currently an 88. He's not had a terrible season, but he's not had a great season at the same time, so I think he's probably going to stay exactly the same as how he was now. Personally, you'll see from his stats, he's not had a great season, but club and country-wise, he's obviously had a phenomenal season because he's won the World Cup, obviously, last week, and they won the German League at an absolute canter. So for that reason, I think he'll stay the same. If they hadn't won the league and then to won the World Cup, I think he might have dropped, but for that reason, I'm going to say he'll stay exactly the same. You see his average rating has dropped quite considerably. He's got less assists, less goals, and played less games. He only had the 1 inform as well over last season's FIFA, so I say last year's FIFA, it's still FIFA 14 now, but you know what I mean. Yeah, he only had 1 inform, which when you compare to all the other players in the in this team in the series, you'll see that most of them have 2 at minimum. Most of them have 3 or more. I was looking at James Rodriguez as well the other day, just out of something a bit different here, and he's had 6 informs over the season. I can't think there'll be anyone that's had more than that, but 6 informs is absolutely mental. Just shows what a good season he was having before the World Cup even came around. But yeah, Schweinsteiger, like I say, I think FIFA 15 is called to be exactly the same, despite the fact he's not been as good because of his exploits with national team and Bayern Munich. As a team, I think he'll stay the same. Now we move on to our next player, which is on the left hand side of midfield, and there are no prizes for guessing that it would be Cristiano Ronaldo in that position. Once again, he has had an absolutely phenomenal season, beating all his stats and records from the season before. It really is incredible. His season on the whole, he's won the Champions League, won the Copa del Rey, didn't win the Spanish League obviously because of Atletico Madrid doing that, and Portugal didn't do too well in the World Cup, but as a player individually, like I say, his season stats are absolutely incredible. He's only had he's only had 4 informs over the season, but I think EA, when it comes to Ronaldo and Messi, are quite stingy with the informs, because if they gave them an inform for every time they played well, they end up having to give them tons of them, which is why I think they're quite stingy and hold back on them. But you'll see 44 games, 49 goals is absolutely unreal. 14 assists, improving on what he'd done last season, and even taking his average rating up to an 8.29, which is absolutely phenomenal. For that reason, I've given him his dribbling +2, because I don't think that's high enough. Even at 91, I think it should be better, so I've taken that to 93. Passing +2, because he's got more assists than he had the season before, and overall +1 up to a 93. Obviously, he's won the Ballon d'Or. Like I mentioned, he's won the Copa del Rey and the Champions League. Liga BBVA top goal scorer and the Champions League top goal scorer. He has had an incredible season. I mean, you look at his stats from the season before: 42 games, 46 goals and 11 assists. That's not exactly shabby. I didn't think he'd improve on that this year, but he smashed it really. He's had a phenomenal season. But there's the team so far. Then you look at the defensive midfield. You've got Neuer in goal, Zabaleta right back, Alaba left back, Thiago Silva and Ramos at centre back, then Bale on the right, Ronaldo on the left, and Iniesta and Schweinsteiger in the central midfield roles. Let me know if you agree with that team, or if you agree with the team but perhaps sort of giving the players different ratings, or perhaps you think there's players that shouldn't be in there and should be replaced by somebody else. Give me your opinions. I'll be interested to know what you think. But that will bring us to the end of this episode. Feel free to like, rate, comment and subscribe and all that other good stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and it is Nidge out. See you next time.